The South Korean government faces mounting pressure over its handling of citizens trapped in Cambodian criminal scam compound, as harrowing accounts of torture and extortion emerge. Young Koreans, lured by promises of high-paying jobs, are instead being held captive and forced to participate in sophisticated online fraud operations, including romance scams and voice phishing. These complexes, often based in Sihanoukville, operate with impunity, subjecting victims to electric shocks, beating, and confinement. In one confirmed case, a Korean man identified as Mr. A escaped after being tortured and forced to work in money laundering. His testimony reveals a brutal system where victims who die from abuse are secretly cremated or buried to destroy evidence. The crisis highlights the operational scale of these criminal enterprise, which international observers, including Amnesty International, link to corrupt elements within the Cambodian government and powerful business conglomerates like the press group. Reports from Amnesty International and investigations by Western media have linked senior Cambodian officials and powerful conglomerates, most notably the press group, to the proliferation of so-called scam compounds in cities like Sihanoukville. These facilities, often fortified with armed guards and surveillance systems, operate with near impunity, shielded by local corruptions and weak rule of law. The US and UK have responded by freezing assets tied to these entities, but South Korea lacked similar extraterritorial enforcement powers, leaving it reliant on diplomatic appeals and multilateral cooperation that yield slow, inconsistent results. Despite recent successes in repatriating over 60 South Korean nationals detained by Cambodian immigration authorities, the fate of at least 4 missing individuals from Daegu and North Gyeongsang province remains unknown. Among them is Mr. A man in his 30s from Gyeongju, who traveled to Cambodia last month after seeing online advertisement promising lucrative work in stock trading. Within a day of arrival, he was kidnapped and confined in a Sihanoukville compound, where he was forced to participate in money laundering operations for a Chinese-Korean criminal ring. His family's desperate attempt to secure his release exposed critical gaps in South Korea's crisis response system. When they reported his disappearance to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, officials demanded precise GPS coordinates and photographic evidence of his location's requirements, impossible to fulfill given that Mr. A was held in solitary confinement under constant surveillance. Even after he managed a perilous escape, walking through the night and hitchhiking to Phnom Penh, he was denied entry to the South Korean embassy because it was not yet open for business. For over 2 hours, he pleaded outside the gates, fearing recapture, before finally being admitted. His ordeal, captured in audio recording obtained by Yonhap News Agency, has sparked public outrage and calls for reform in how the government handles overseas abductions. Families of all the missing persons report similar frustration, accusing authorities of bureaucratic inertia and a lack of coordination between police, diplomatic missions, and intelligence agencies. Inside the Cambodian scam complexes, conditions are described as brutal and dehumanizing. Testimonies from survivors like Mr. A reveal a system of systematic violations designed to enforce compliance. Victims are routinely beaten, subjected to electric shock, and forced to work long hours running phishing schemes targeting South Korean citizens. In one office alone, 8 out of 12 Koreans were observed limping from repeated assault. Those who fail to meet financial quota or attempt to resist are punished severely. In extreme cases, deaths are covered up through secret cremations or burials near remote border areas. Recruitment often begins in South Korea itself, where Jangjip, Korean Chinese brokers posing as employment agents, lure young people with fake job offers. College students, unemployed graduates, and individuals facing financial hardships are especially vulnerable. One such victim, a Korean university student was reportedly recruited by a senior classmate and later died from torture after being unable to repay a fabricated debt. These networks thrive on deceptions and coercion, turning victims into perpetrators as they are forced to recruit others or face escalating abuse. The involvement of ethnic Korean Chinese intermediaries adds another layer of complexity as they operate across jurisdictions with relative anonymity. South Korean authorities acknowledge that an estimated 1,000 of their citizens may still be trapped in these compounds, yet rescue operations remain rare. Unlike India and Malaysia, which have conducted cross-border raids in coordination with Cambodian police, South Korea has refrained from such direct action, citing legal and diplomatic sensitivities. Critics argue this caution amounts to abandonment, especially as criminal groups relocate to neighboring countries like Laos and Myanmar in response to increased scrutiny in Cambodia. Regional dynamics are beginning to shift, however, as Southeast Asian governments face mounting international pressure to dismantle these criminal enterprises. On October 19th, Cambodia and Thailand announced a draft peace agreement aimed at eradicating cross-border online fraud, withdrawing heavy weapons from dispute zones, and restoring diplomatic ties severed during a brief conflict that ended in July. The agreement, set to be formalized at the upcoming ASEAN summit in Malaysia, represents a rare moment of cooperation between two nations historically at odds. Thai Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul denied sensational media reports linking him or other Thai politicians to Cambodian scam operations, calling them fake news, but acknowledged the need for joint enforcement. Notably, his family's construction firm, Cenote, managed the Cenote Tower, a building allegedly used by fraud syndicates, though the company insists it is merely a legal tenant arrangement. South Korea's role in this evolving landscape remains delicate. While its embassy in Phnom Penh has improved its emergency protocol following Mr. A's case, systematic issue persists. The response from South Korean authorities has been criticized as ineffective and slow by desperate families. Families continue to report that police initially dismissed abduction claims as voluntary departure or financial scams, delaying critical intervention. Meanwhile, the government is under pressure to enhance pre-departure warning, strengthen penalties for Jangjip recruiters, and establish rapid response team capable of coordinating with foreign law enforcement. While the government successfully repatriated over 60 Koreans who were already in the custody of Cambodian immigration, this has done little to help those like Mr. A, who remains missing and trapped within the heavily guarded compounds. Families reports that when they seek help, police and diplomatic officials often demand specific location coordinates and photographs as a precondition for rescue, a near impossible task for those under constant surveillance and confinement. The situation is further complicated by the dynamic nature of the criminal networks. As law enforcement attention increases, the gangs are moving deeper underground or relocating to neighboring countries, rendering any hard-won intelligence obsolete almost immediately. In a significant regional development, the crisis has become a catalyst for diplomatic reconciliation between Cambodia and Thailand. The two nations, which were engaged in a military standoff as recently as July, have now agreed in principle to a draft peace agreement. This agreement directly addresses the scam compound issue, committing both countries to cooperate in eradicating online fraud. The deal also includes provisions for the withdrawal of heavy weapons from the border and the restoration of severe diplomatic channels. The formal signing ceremony is scheduled to take place during the upcoming ASEAN summit in Malaysia at the end of October, an event that will be attended by U.S. President Donald Trump, underscoring the international dimensions of the regional conflict and the growing global concern over transnational cyber scam operations. If you have made it this far, congratulations. You have unlocked the truth. I want to ask you a quick question though. The Cambodian scam crisis revealed a brutal form of transnational organized crime operating with apparent impunity. Do you believe the new draft peace agreement between Cambodia and Thailand, forged from this scandal, will genuinely lead to the dismantling of these criminal empires? or will corruption and economic incentives allow them to simply relocate and continue their operations under a new guise? What is the ultimate solution? Join the debate. We want to hear your insightful opinion on where this is all heading in our community. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Like the video, hit the notification bell, and most importantly, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.